rather more fun question here, which Jane and I can perhaps both answer. And the question is, what aspect of phonetics, what part of phonetics attracts you the most? So now, Jane, what do you like about phonetics?
Well, to be honest, at the moment I'm liking it that nobody else understands anything about what I do. I feel very sort of individual and, I've got all this knowledge and you don't know what I'm doing. that's just my department, really, because my department's mostly applied linguists and they don't really understand phonetics at all. But I think the thing that attracted me most to phonetics in the beginning was that it all made so much sense and it was so logical. And I just liked the way that you could write down what somebody had said in as much detail as you wanted, or you could really listen and get all the detail. You could explain some things, and it really made such a lot of sense to me. And I think from that point of view, it's always something that I've enjoyed. I felt a very kind of natural affinity with it. Incidentally, a lot of phoneticians are also musical. Professor Wells is musical too.
So is Professor Setter.
Yes, Professor Peter Roach is also musical. I know a lot of phoneticians who are musical, and it seems to go with it. If there are any phoneticians out there who are not musical at all, please put up your hand. I don't actually play an instrument, but I'm a singer, and I hear things very well. If something's out of tune, it drives me crazy. So, but basically, I think it's just that it makes so much sense to me. I think that's the thing that I like most about it, in a way that some things never did. So, what about you, John?
Well, from our earlier discussion, I think we've both had very similar experiences. When I discovered phonetics, I knew that was what I wanted to do. That's absolutely fascinating.
Absolutely, yes.
And I'm obsessed by it. And I mean, I feel terribly fortunate in that I've been able to make a career out of something that interests me so deeply, and which I do with such pleasure and such interest. What do I not like about phonetics? Well, I get bored marking students' essays. After I've marked 20 essays on estuary English, I'm very bored by essay number 21, and by essay number 50, I'm screaming. But that's an experience that any teacher has, of course. We have to do various routine tasks because they're part of the job. I get a bit bored with experimental phonetics, I must be honest. When I came to do the Masters in Phonetics at University College London, I'd previously been purely an arts student. I'd studied classics, Latin and Greek, so archetypal arts, and I was told, if you want to be a phonetician, you must get to grips with experimental phonetics, you must learn about the physics of speech, you must learn to make measurements, you must learn to draw and use graphs, and do all the other things you have to do in experimental phonetics. So, because I wanted to be a phonetician, I worked hard and I learned to do this, and I did an MA dissertation in which I measured the formants of the monophthongs of RP, and I had to demonstrate, if you like, that I could do that. Having successfully demonstrated that I could do that, I more or less resolved just not to do it anymore, because that's not what I'm good at, it's not what I'm interested in. It's better to leave that to people who are good at it and are interested in it. And of course, the great advantage is that I do now understand what they're talking about, and I can interpret their findings and so on. But I'm going to leave it to them to do all the measurements in the laboratory. And I think probably everybody would best be advised to do the things they're interested in, because if you're interested in something, you'll be good at it. I love making lists. When I was a little boy, I made lists of things in the house, you know, lists of toys, lists of whatever. So that was a good basis for making a dictionary. And of course, making a dictionary has its dull moments. You've got to go on and on and on and on. It means you have to work for a long time because it takes a long time to do it all. But there's sufficient interest in it for me, being interested in lists and interested in phonetics, to carry me through until successful completion.
Well, from my point of view, I have to say that I worked on EPD 15 I did most of the club work on EPD 15 and it bored me solid. So, but I never had to compile the list to start with. That was already there, and the publishers augmented it. There is something else I'd like to say. This is a very romantic notion, possibly, but I think one of the reasons that I was so interested in speech and how speech sounds was actually the film My Fair Lady. That was one of my favourite films. I love the film, I love the musical. I have the DVD and the CD and the video and everything.
These people in Hong Kong.
And it just fascinated me. And I think that's one of the things that interested me most. And the idea that somebody like me, who comes from a small town on the coast, could sound half decent if somebody bothered to make me speak proper. So that's what my regional accent sounds like. And here I am today talking to you, and you can understand me, and I think that's marvellous. So that's another reason. Just the idea that somebody can totally change their identity if they learn to speak in a particular way in English. And this whole thing, speaking English, learning English, thinking about how you sound in English, what you can say in English, and being able to listen, I think that's the thing, that's one of the things that attracted me the most. And also, I just love the songs as well in the film.
Well done, Eliza.
Oh, blimey, mate. Thank you very much.